Do you see any of the real Diana in Meghan? Did
God,
you?
no.
Really?
No. Sorry. We are uncensored, but oh my God, the idea there's any comparison between Diana, who was the biggest star in the world.
There was a sex tape about her.
And I saw it.
It is the cringiest, most uncomfortable piece of tape I've seen in a long time.
These two will sell anything about their privacy, and yet they'll fight privacy battle after privacy battle. It's total
I don't
hypocrisy.
agree.
Are there any fans of Meghan Markle in tonight? Oh, hang on. There is one lone hand has raised
Subversive.
up here. Actually, that is one more than I expected, I have to be honest.
She is an absolute user of the media. She uses every conceivable way to try and play the victim and score points.
She got a bit of royal action, along with her entire family, of course, on both sides, apart from her mother. I don't think Meghan Markle's in any position to be lecturing anybody about friendship. It's hard to imagine two people who've been less compassionate in the last few years.
It makes them newsworthy. So you either then ignore what people are talking about and debating and having all the silly stuff about the fake parties, and all the racism claims turned out to be bull. The mental health claims were bull. All of it was bullshit, designed to damage and attack the royal family, the monarchy, and all of it. And it made me cute.
Been less than kind, unimaginative, and frustrating, said Hollywood's Bible Variety magazine. So sickening, I almost brought up my breakfast, said the woke Bible, The Guardian. All the intimacy of Instagram, sneered the normally timid New York Times. A nauseating self-serving snooze fest, said another pundit. Well, that was me, actually. I think he's not the brightest bulb in the tulip patch, Harry, to put it politely. I think she is very manipulative. Meghan Markle is someone who's basically got rid of almost her entire family on her side, apart from her mother, her entire family on the father's side.
It didn't start quietly. It didn't slip out by accident. It landed like a calculated blow, the kind that makes people behind the scene freeze, glance at each other, and instantly reach for their phones. Because when Piers Morgan crossed into this territory, it wasn't casual commentary anymore. It felt deliberate, intentional, almost surgical. And according to insiders, it sent Meghan Markle's team into instant panic mode. Piers Morgan just crossed a line that Meghan Markle's team never wanted crossed. Sources say carefully built narratives may finally face the scrutiny they were meant to escape. And insiders say panic set in immediately. This isn't just talk. This is damage control mode. You could practically feel it. That sharp intake of breath when a subject you've spent years carefully controlling suddenly gets dragged into the open. Because this wasn't just another talking head throwing shade. This was Piers Morgan leaning forward, slowing down, and making sure everyone understood exactly what he was pointing at. And the moment he did, the internet woke up.
I don't want to be doing another bloody segment on Meghan Markle with Harry, right?
During a recent episode of Piers Morgan Uncensored, the outspoken host allegedly brought up photos that have followed Meghan for years. Photos that didn't just fade away, they vanished, wiped from the internet, scrubbed from public view. Images insiders claim point to a past Meghan has worked hard to bury. That word vanished hit hard. Because people remember, or at least they believe they do. And belief is powerful. These weren't framed as random old pictures that quietly disappeared. They were framed as something more unsettling, something that kept slipping through fingers every time it resurfaced.
Complain and never explain was the late Queen's motto for royal PR. For Harry and Meghan, it's more a case of never reign and never abstain, especially when it comes to nauseating self-publicity, which invariably backfired.
But here's the part that changed everything. Morgan didn't casually reference them. He leaned in. He lingered. And by doing that, he reopened a chapter Meghan thought was permanently closed. Observers say he didn't just comment. He mocked the whole thing on live TV. He questioned why evidence keeps disappearing, why the same photos get wiped every time they resurface online. He called out the pattern slowly, clearly, so no one could miss it. And with millions watching his YouTube show, sources claim Meghan's legal team went into overdrive, racing to shut this down before it blows up into full-scale headlines. That's what made it different. He didn't rush. He didn't joke and move on. He stayed there, long enough for the question to sink in, long enough for viewers to start asking it themselves. And once that happens, control slips.
More importantly, how her curated public image should be. Harry really apparently just wants time alone, doesn't want to be filmed, doesn't want to be put on social media, but has no choice. That very much bewildering picture of them both lamely holding hands looking out at the pumpkin farm really means nothing. It doesn't really go anywhere, does it? And so for Harry himself, he's now, in many people are suggesting.
So what exactly did Piers say about those deleted photos that has social media buzzing right now? And why does this story refuse to die, no matter how hard it's pushed back under the rug? The bad blood between Piers Morgan and Meghan Markle isn't new, but lately it's turned explosive because this didn't come out of nowhere. The tension has history, and history matters.
Markle has gone back to live in California, and she's living the life she probably wanted all along.
Yes.
A life of unparalleled luxury and riches that she got by marrying a handsome British.
Morgan now runs Piers Morgan Uncensored only on YouTube, reaching millions every week with no network bosses telling him what he can or can't say. No filters, no limits. Since making that move, he's had total freedom to go where TV wouldn't dare. And sources say Meghan has become one of his favorite toys. That detail matters because this wasn't always war. Before everything collapsed, Piers and Meghan were actually friendly, which makes what's happening now feel personal, not just professional. They didn't just know each other online. They messaged. They met for drinks at a London pub. Piers believed it was a real friendship. Then Meghan had dinner with Prince Harry the very next night. And according to Piers' own words, she went silent. No replies, no explanations. That silence, people say that's where everything shifted. One moment, there's warmth, familiarity. The next, nothing. Contact cut off the moment someone more powerful entered her life. That moment matters because many observers say it lit the fuse. Since then, Morgan has brought Meghan up again and again, openly questioning her stories, her credibility, and the version of events she wants the public to believe. And when someone like Piers Morgan believes he's been discarded, he doesn't forget it. He circles it over and over. What makes this moment hit harder is the timing. Just days ago, Kim Kardashian quietly deleted Instagram photos showing Meghan and Harry at Kris Jenner's birthday party. The images went up. People noticed. Then they vanished. That deletion poured gasoline on everything. Kim Kardashian deleted her photo with Meghan Markle. Kim K still has the X tape out online, but Meghan Markle was the line. People saw it happen in real time. Screenshots, reactions, then silence. Multiple outlets caught it happening in real time, and now people are asking the same question again. Why do photos of Meghan at high-profile celebrity events keep appearing and then suddenly disappearing from social media? And that question echoes Kris Jenner's post on Instagram immediately after the party. I think there are the maximum of 20 pictures in this slideshow. She made the mix, not one glimpse of the royal couple, because the reality is that in Hollywood, they're not royalty anymore. They're on the D list, so they may get the invite, but they're not on the Snoop Dogg or Oprah Winfrey list. Morgan didn't treat it as coincidence. Viewers of Morgan's show say he didn't treat the deletion as a one-off. He allegedly linked it to a bigger pattern, claiming certain photos of Meghan keep getting erased on purpose. Whether he actually showed the images or only talked about how they vanished depends on who's telling the story online. And then the commentary spiraled. Meghan is a trained actress. What she does is that she studies people. She's not a good actress, but she is a trained one. Those words stuck. They always do. But here's where the tension deepens. Fact-checkers have looked into it repeatedly, and according to a recent report by Geo News, these alleged images don't actually exist in any verified form. No originals, no proof, just claims that keep resurfacing even after being officially debunked. That contradiction is the heart of the storm. No proof yet, endless belief. Some people swear they saw the photos years ago. Not screenshots, not stories, actual images. Ones they now say vanished before anyone could save or archive them. That's what keeps it alive. Memory versus record. And once jokes land on mainstream TV, Colin Jost joked about Meghan during Saturday Night Live. It's no longer fringe. It's cultural. Morgan's strategy becomes clearer the longer you listen. He doesn't claim, he questions, he frames, he lets the audience connect dots. Morgan reportedly didn't say the material definitely exists. Instead, he asked why even the idea of it triggers such aggressive pushback. Why the instant defense? Why the panic? That's the legal dance. Stay inside the lines, but push the walls. It lets him press the issue without making direct claims. And that's why lawsuits don't come. Because lawsuits open doors. Meghan's team usually answers with PR denials and quiet content removals, not courtroom battles demanding proof. People read that however they want. Some say it's smart, others say it's telling. Meanwhile, Morgan keeps going. Media analysts say Morgan knows exactly what he's doing, because this isn't just personal, it's profitable. Content about Meghan explodes in engagement. And that's the uncomfortable truth. Outrage travels. Still, facts matter. Major outlets that review these claims say there's no solid evidence behind them. That context matters, but belief doesn't dissolve easily. By raising these topics on a show watched by millions, Morgan didn't just comment on rumors. He dragged conversations that once lived only in online forums straight into the mainstream spotlight. And once something reaches that level, it doesn't quietly disappear anymore. That's where this ends for now. Not with proof, not with closure, but with questions hanging in the air, louder than before. Because whether people believe Morgan crossed a line or finally said what others wouldn't, one thing is undeniable. Once these conversations escape the shadows, they don't go back. And that's the part many people miss. This story doesn't survive because of proof. It survives because of distrust. Because once the public decides someone's story feels curated, every move after that gets filtered through suspicion. A deleted post isn't just a deleted post anymore. It's motive, it's strategy, it's narrative control. And Piers Morgan knows that better than most people in media. He understands how modern audiences think. He understands that you don't need to accuse anymore. You just need to ask the question slowly enough that people start answering it themselves. And once that happens, no press release can put it back in the bottle. That's why this moment rattled Meghan's camp so deeply. Not because he proved anything, but because he reopened a wound they've spent years trying to seal shut. People watching didn't hear a claim. They heard a challenge. Why this level of cleanup? Why this urgency? Why does the same thing keep happening again and again? And when viewers start connecting Kardashian deletions, scrubbed Google results, vanished Instagram slideshows, and old acting era content becoming harder to find, they don't see coincidence anymore. They see choreography. Supporters argue this is exactly how fame works now. Everyone curates, everyone deletes, everyone protects their image, and they're right. But the problem is trust. When trust erodes, normal behavior starts to look suspicious. Even harmless decisions get reinterpreted as cover-ups. And Meghan's public relationship with trust has been fragile for a long time. That fragility is what Piers keeps pressing on. Not just the photos, not just the rumors, but the pattern of response. Quiet removals, strong denials, no courtroom showdowns, no aggressive counters. Just firm statements and fast cleanup. To some, that's professionalism. To others, it feels like fear of discovery. And Morgan doesn't need to say which side he's on. He lets the audience choose. There's also something else happening here that doesn't get talked about enough. The power shift. Piers isn't on network television anymore. There's no producer cutting to commercial. No legal team hovering in his ear. YouTube gives him reach without restraint. And that terrifies people who are used to managing narratives through traditional media pressure. You can't call a network executive anymore. You can't threaten advertising pullouts. The rules changed. That's why this moment feels bigger than gossip. It's about control in the digital age. Who decides what stays online? Who decides what disappears? And what happens when people notice the erasing? Because once they do, every missing piece becomes louder than what remains. And that's the irony. The harder something is pushed down, the more curious people become about what's underneath. Silence becomes suspicious. Deletion becomes confirmation in the minds of those already inclined to doubt. It's not fair. It's not factual, but it's human nature. For men, this creates a no-win situation. Respond aggressively. And risk opening doors she doesn't want opened. Stay quiet. And let voices like Morgan dominate the conversation. Either way, the story keeps breathing. And for Morgan, that's exactly the point. He thrives in unresolved tension. He feeds on unanswered questions. And as long as people are arguing in comment sections, sharing clips, replaying moments, and rehashing the same debates, the topic stays alive. That's why this won't end with one episode, or one segment, or one denial. Because this isn't about whether the photos exist. It's about whether people believe the version of events they're being asked to accept. And right now, belief is fractured. Some viewers walked away furious at Morgan, convinced he crossed a moral line by amplifying rumors that fact-checkers have repeatedly dismissed. Others walked away nodding, feeling validated in doubts they've carried quietly for years. Same footage, same words, completely different reactions. And that divide is exactly what keeps this machine running. So when people ask why this story refuses to die, the answer isn't hidden photos or secret files. It's psychology. It's resentment. It's broken trust. It's the collision of celebrity image control and a media figure who refuses to stop poking at it. And as long as those forces keep colliding, the questions won't stop coming. Because once someone like Piers Morgan drags a conversation into the open and leaves it unresolved, it doesn't fade. It lingers. It mutates. It grows. And no matter how carefully the internet is cleaned, people will keep asking the same thing over and over again. If there's truly nothing there, why does it feel like everyone's working so hard to make sure we never look?